Welcome to episode 125 of the Corey Shepherd podcast. Welcome back to everybody who's been listening. Welcome to all the new listeners. Well, welcome to plenty new listeners. For all the people who was here from day one, right? A few things I want to establish for the people who was here from the first episode, or whatever was your version of the first episode, but let's stick with me for a long time. I want to make it clear to people who are coming on board for the first time on behalf of the people who now join. And I appreciate all the support for the episode that was about Black Stalin. If anybody know what Black Stalin means to me, and what Black Stalin really means to all of us, or should mean to all of us, I am proud to announce that Black Stalin is easily the biggest episode I've ever done. I was saying last week is the episode I enjoy recording the most. I've never enjoyed an episode as much as I enjoy recording that. But now it is the first number one listened to episode. It always used to be episode 1. And that's happened because whatever I do when people come on to new episodes, people typically go back to episode 1 to hear what this whole thing is about, which also happened with the Stalin episode. But by far, this is the most listened to episode. But I want the people who was here from day one, or whatever your version of day one was, to let people know, don't feel like if a man like Black Stalin, the tribute is end with one episode. In the true spirit of the man, let it be known, any week you turn here, we can celebrate Kaiso.
Come with it, come with it. Oh.
We don't play slack in, slack out.
Come with it, man. Last year I sing and say I'm taking the wife to party. People vex like hell cause I say my wife and not their beauty. So the next weekend on the papers, them boys start writing. Yes, they're trying to tell the world it's smart that the black man singing. So before them reporters put my career in more jeopardy. And not me to sing nothing again about party. But when the fans and them around the world listen to what I had to say, anyway that I go, anyway that I pass, they keep balling out. No way, no, this party can't done. Black man, your fans having fun. Black man, drama, another one. This party can't done, this party can't done.
Come with it. So welcome to everybody who knew. But don't feel like if it is just Gary from Kaiso, and dedication here don't mean dedication, you know. It's dedication in real life. We always celebrating Kaiso, always celebrating Kaisonian. And I had to tell all you, here what went on now. With all the thing I do, right? Well, you know I tried to storm the funeral. Oh, God.
My fans and them, they turn and say that it's Soca making. They say we love your jam, so just keep on jamming. Don't stop, black man, yes, we love your music. Don't let no reporter man come in here now and stop it. Yes, you sing and try to bring the whole Caribbean together. Yes, you try and try to bring a better life for the elder. Yes, you sing and try to make so much other people's dream come true. It's time that you realize that party people is people too. So no, this party can't done. Black man, your fans having fun. Black man jam another one.
Distribute can't done.
Come with it, your fans want to shake up. Come with it, build more party song. Come with it, if you make me party hardy all night long. Come with it, your fans want to shake up. Come with it, jam more party song. Come with it, if you make me boogie woogie all year long.
So as the man says, all year long we just come with it, and we're here to celebrate the culture that is Kaiso, Calypso, Soca, whatever you want to call it. So you went on now, and then I tried to storm the funeral. And to be honest with you, I just wanted to soak up some of that energy from Stalin procession. I find that we finally, as a society, we're starting to do it right, because I saw what was done for Explainer, I saw what was done for Shadow, and I greatly appreciate what was done for the great Black Stalin, Leroy Callis last week. So salute to everybody involved. I don't know who is who, you know. I don't know if he's the Minister of Culture, his family, everybody. Salute to everybody who was involved. They do a nice little procession from Coffee Street, coming all the way down to Sapo where the funeral was. So I had to go in the gym in the morning and thing, and I take in the little procession. And I see my boy Zachary on TV. They pass in front Sando Boys, which would be Stalin alma mater. And Zachary and them waving. I want to salute to the teachers of St. Gabriel's. What's called St. Gabriel's? St. Gabriel's Girls' School. The convent. Nice to have names ready for this, right? This is St. Gabriel's School, convent on the promenade, on Harris Promenade. Which again, I'm waiting to see when they would rename that promenade to Willard Harris Promenade, right? All right, but we'll go with Lord Harris now. But when I say Lord Harris, I mean relate, all right? So it was Convent, St. Gabriel's, San Fernando Boys RC, Presentation College. Salute to the teachers because it had some teachers play the role well. Them teachers understand the role they was playing. I want to very early salute all those teachers who hype up them children, make them know, because most of those children are assuming Presentation College as well, even though those children older. They may really know Stalin in any heyday, you know, when you think about it. They may know about Black Stalin. Like I remember the day before school, the day before the funeral, I pick up Zachary from school as always, and I ask him, I say, Zachary, y'all planning to do anything for Black Stalin? Like I was wondering if the schools were going to come out and all that. And he said that, he say, what is Black Stalin? I say, Zachary. I say, I wasting time coming here. I feel I have a mission and a purpose here to educate people, educate myself and all about our culture. And my son don't know who is Black Stalin. I say, Zachary, you don't know Black Stalin or Calypsonian? He say, well, what he sing? Sing one of his songs, let me hear. I say, Zachary, don't embarrass me. Me alone in the kind of vex like hell. I say, he sing Black Man Feeling to Party. He say, oh, you're right. Tonight, I say, Zachary, where's Black Man Feeling to Party? And then he say, pang, 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 alang, I feel so proud. I feel like my mission. And I know all of that. So I said, but how you know that? And you know what was his response? He said, I play on radio all the time. I must know who is Black Stalin. And I felt that way about the teachers who make that effort, even for those of us as parents who mightn't play the music in their household or introduce their children to the culture. The teachers did a good job. The schools came out with signs showing tribute to him, pictures of him. They come out and they dance to the music. Salute to Guide's Funeral Home, who put the boss. You know what I mean? They carry out the boss in style. And I told you last week, you know, we can't lose nothing. When somebody leave this earth and they leave a mark like how we leave, what is you really lose? As somebody tell me, the man finally gets to stand up next to Peter. He finally gets to finish his song with Dorothy. He finally gets to collect a little thing from Sundar we was to write for him. And I want to say salute as well as we pay honor to people, to Omari Ashby and DK Rostand. These fellas was on TTT the morning covering the procession. And I have a suggestion, right? I want to nominate these two fellas to cover the whole Dimash Gra, the parade of the band. No, salute to everybody who come before, right? No knock on anybody who used to do it before. But do you think about it, right? A funeral procession, covering that on TV for 6 hours should be boring. Let me be honest, right? Salute to the man. Don't disrespect to the man who passed and the legend that he is. But covering a funeral, nothing a song and exciting about that. But Omari Ashby and DK Rustan keep that conversation going while we was watching the procession move towards Supper. And give so much information about the songs that he's saying, who he was, they play songs in between and thing. And boy, listen, them men do an excellent job of keeping us, for those of us who couldn't make it to Sapa. Well, I shouldn't say us because I made it to Sapa, but for those who couldn't make it to Sapa and had to take it in on TTT, these two gentlemen make us feel like we were there. And because of the amount of knowledge that they have and the amount of experiences they had themselves with them, it was nice for them to share that and bring their whole selves to that experience. I could tell you from dealing with Omari Ashby that on any other day, he would probably be in Sapa at that funeral, walking down with the procession and so on. So appreciation to them for taking the time out to go there and make themselves present and edify and educate us. And that was one of the things Omari was saying, you know. We have a job to do. He says it's not about carrying on a legacy. It's not about the man who created the legacy. It's about us. It's about how we teach them, how we carry the lessons, how we carry our experiences with those songs, those of us who had experiences with him, or even fetting here in Stalin music, or anyone. We could replace Stalin with anybody at this point in time. I mean, I know because of what he means to all of us, he will stay in the conversation. He will certainly stay a part of this podcast. And in my argument, as one of the greatest of all time, the greatest to ever do it. But we have a job individually. No government and them kind of thing. We have a job individually to carry this on and make sure that that legacy continues to push through, and that his words, while they might mean something to us or meant something to us because we see Stalin when he now come out, or some of us see him in older years and we see him win the Marsh Gras, or we only know him when he passed away, or we only remember him from the funeral procession because he's 10 years old. We have a job to do to make sure that his legacy live on individually. So I went down in the Sapa. I went and I soak up some of that legendary energy. I see plenty of the giants walking in and thing. I wanted to go in there, but I was frightened to ask. I didn't want to look a groupie-ish. I mean, when you're groupieing for people, it's never look good, you know. Whether it's somebody who passed away, somebody who alive, it don't look good. I didn't want to walk in and they say, so yes, your name is on any list, or yes, who would it be? And I want to go up and say, my name is Corey Shepherd from the Corey Shepherd podcast, you know, with confidence and made them for me, but I couldn't take the blank. I chicken out at the last minute, you know what I mean? If there had plenty people walking in, I'd do it, but by the time I reached, it looked like people are seated and I couldn't take the embarrassment. I couldn't handle the fame. I want to salute to my guy Valdez. I see Valdez down there. Valdez is a legend, right? I'm not telling about Valdez, but yeah, a legend. Brethren of mine from back in the day. And he was there to do the same thing, just to soak up the energy. I saw Calypsonian performer, artist, extemporanean. My boy Hezekiah was down there just passing through. He taking as much as he could have taken. He had to head to work as well. And I was trying to get the names of some folks I see, like some stick fighting troops. Well, it wasn't so much stick fighting. That person was beating drum and thing, but them men beat real drum. Because by the time, it took a couple hours to move from Coffee Street to get to Sapper. But by the time they get to Sapa now, that was about 4 or 5 hours, you know. I have something to say about that too. We need to realize that we're in a different era and time, and events had to be shorter. But it was about 4 hours, and them fellas beat drum for the whole 4 hours, and a couple men dance some little stick and give you some little carry out there and thing. You know what I mean? It was a nice thing. I didn't get the names of the groups that was coming together to do that, but that was nice to see them. And of course, the funeral procession was well done. They had a crown fitting for the Black King that he was. Several performers. I saw Lady Adana, I saw Valentino. You know, when I see Valentino performing in People Memorial, I shouldn't say that. I really shouldn't say that. I don't know what I'd be telling myself, but wait. Valentino, salute to Valentino. Valentino, somehow he figured out was he fountain of youth and he eat from the tree of eternal life. Salute to Valentino. Let's keep Valentino in velvet glove. Keep him together. Get white gloves and put him in a nice little case. Don't let Valentino go, you know what I mean? But even Valentino was paying tribute. Marshall came out and sang Love Fire. I was so glad to see Marshall there and singing that Love Fire song. That Love Fire song for me represented a sort of a handover, that torch and a tradition. And as you say, fire, the original fireman is what I hear Omari and DK referring to Stalin as. I wouldn't have even thought of that. The first man to really burn fire like that. But to take that song that was about fire and condemnation and turn it into a song that's fire for love and purification was an amazing thing. And it felt like a genuine handing over the torch. I like that, you know. And I eager to see who Marshall take and hand over that torch to. Although with all due respect to Marshall, Marshall is real hand over torch, you know. But sometimes it look like he take it back. But I saw Tony Chowlin on there and making speech and them kind of thing, and with all the bacchanal and thing, because if you're only listening to this because of the Stalin dedication, you have to understand that this podcast is also about a lot of lacqueray, cancalang, bacchanal, and Tory, right? So when I see Tony Chowlin on up there making speeches about Stalin and how great he was and stuff, right? You know what's the first thing come in my mind? I say, I wonder if Chinese Laundry realized Turner could be the next if Turner could be the next Stalin. I wonder if he would appreciate that, because unfortunately, no, wait, before I get into the couture, right? I ain't talked to Holly a long time, and Holly going. I now realize as I was going and start to record this episode that me really record a normal episode since about the end of 20, long before Christmas and thing. Holly going, all the Christmas was, how was the New Year's? Everybody good? I realized like I'm behind, and the only reason I notice it really is because when I look at my list of things to talk about, usually I see in about 10, 15 things I bring to the table, right? I see about 30 something. I said, nah, boy, what is that? And then I realized how long ago it was I hadn't recorded. So I had to delete something because some of them stories get obsolete. And I ain't know if it worth discussing now. But I ain't been here for a long, long time. All I do for the Christmas, boy. I had a nice little Christmas, you know. I parang all about. I try my best to parang all about. I do the family parang and thing. I particularly enjoy this year paranging because I think with the family line one thing, I get a little bit of my father playing music the way we used to play music a long time, and I enjoyed that. Usually, well, I should say of late, as we have a band that is play out and play concerts and things, we used to play a lot of sets, right? Rehearse things, and that's nice too because that helped me learn music a lot better. But because we didn't play any concerts or much gigs this year and throughout COVID, to be honest, we end up just playing free form, freestyle. And when we play freestyle, that man is remember some song that he ain't singing a long time, and it's just been nice. The whole vibe is different when we play impromptu like that. I also get a chance to hook up with some men in Parliament. That ain't sound good. Pause. To link up with some people in Parliament. My name is Lester, my boy Ashton, Nutsy, and the guitar man. I know the guitar man name now. I'll tell you before the episode done. But these fellas as musicians are on next level. I like them too bad. I'm gonna fit myself in there, you know. I remember I was telling you the last episode that I'm gonna fit myself in with a band. I feel I find a band to fit me. They can't hide, they can't duck me. I go in anywhere they're going because them men know proper music. In playing with them this Christmas, and I learned that Noxie, who's the bass man, he playing a electric bass or a box bass. Man, box bass made out of a barrel. Where he used to send clothes in long time, he cuts off top of that and make a box bass. And if you know parang music or traditional Kaiso music or vintage music, right? Sometimes the vibe is be different when you're playing an electric bass. So I prefer when people play box bass, but his touch on things so good that he know how to adjust it up. So whichever one he playing, he's singing brilliant. And I understand that he was Brother Resistance bassman and tour all over the world with Brother Resistance. So when you're staying with him, like for instance, when I don't know songs, he just calling out the chords of songs while he playing and I could follow with him. So these are some fellas I had to stay close to. This Lester and his band. I don't know if they have an official name, but they're playing in Parliament, and Lester could play any kind of music outside of the Kaiso and the Parang and the Crash music for the folks in Parliament, which I learned a lot of for the first time. Like the Crash music is really a French Creole kind of music. And I don't understand what they're saying, so I don't know if it related to Christmas or not, but it's song celebratory in terms of the feel of the music and the bounce of it and all. But I like the vibe and I like the idea of learning some more of that Crash music. Them fellas know real good Spanish too, so I had to stick with them and learn as much as I could learn. And as I was talking about with Stalin, even that part of the culture, to see how I could do my part to learn it and pass it on. The purpose of learning it is to keep it alive, right? And to pass it on to other people. So that's where we are. I ain't talked so a long time about a good Christmas. I want to say congratulations to Argentina. I ain't got a chance to say that. I was kind of half back in Argentina because they half don't like black people. But I'm glad for Messi and I'm glad for Argentina. I was in Miami at the time of the final and I got a chance to watch the final with my partner, Jean-Pierre Lacaille, my guy, who is a French fan, a Francophile of sorts, you know what I mean? And he was back in France. And we had gone to an Argentine restaurant by the name of Novecento in Brickell. It's Novecento or whatever the name. Food real good and everything, but they were showing the match as well. I was watching the match among all the Argentines, and it was an emotional roller coaster. It was up and down. It was all over the place. That was the best final I ever see in the best World Cup I've ever seen. And boys, somehow or the other, Argentina come out on top. They look at first like France throwing it away and they didn't care about the game. And all of a sudden, they make some substitutions which look very suspect to me. And all of a sudden, they was back in the game, and it was tempo down to the end. But glad for Messi. I almost glad for him to the point where I just glad he didn't lose because I don't know if he'd be able to take that, no. And I hope somebody monitoring Cristiano Ronaldo because I see he gonna sign a big contract in somewhere that don't play football at all, and that is where he gonna find his retirement. Strange decisions. But anyway, I was talking about Chinese laundry. I just wanted to touch base with all you, right? So let's bear with me, right? I was talking about Chinese laundry and Turner because in recent weeks, or coming down very, very early in the year, I saw an article from Newsday and some posts on his Instagram. This is Turner, right? Now Turner, if you don't know Turner has some good little song, you know. And I can't imitate his voice. So he say, for the love of Calypso, oh Lord, gonna build up soca. I just don't understand what he's saying, you know, but it's nice. The man has some nice little vibes, you know what I mean? And I really find that you ain't hearing him again. And I kind of assume when you ain't hearing a man, like he ain't putting out not no his songs not hitting, right? And bet your bottom dollars with everything else in Trinidad, once you're not hearing somebody and you feel like the songs ain't hitting, you could eventually hear the thing that's saying somebody squeezing them out, right? So I'm reading from the news, they hear this from Paula Lindo on the 3rd of January. It says, as the carnival season gets into full swing, soca artist Trevor Turner is accusing media outlets, radio stations, and DJs of not playing his music and ignoring his contributions to the art form. He said young people who seriously want to invest in their music career should leave Trinidad in order to do so. It's extreme. In a post on his Instagram page, the artist who uses the sobriquet Turner said if the man name, who wrote this article? Paula? If your name is Trevor Turner, it's Turner, it's sobriquet. Anyway, he said he used to be a fan of soca pioneers, but his feelings have changed. He's quoted as saying, now I am in on the scene. I got to experience the sad reality of how these people work with their own people. I am ashamed to say this, but if any youth really wants a career in music, I advise them to go somewhere more loving and caring towards creativeness and people, not Trinbago. Here's why I say this. I am only 4 years going on 5 in this soca world, and believe me, it's the worst treatment I've received from the biased media outlets and artists likewise, who seem to see me as a threat due to my distinguished voice. It's a threat, okay? Turner said the treatment has him confused, although he knew how they felt about him as a person and artist. Further quote says, I know I don't sound like the rest, but what I can't understand is why they will choose to take food out of another positive musician's mouth. But I already know why you, DJs and radio stations, all put me in the back seats and not giving my new hit songs any play like your soca friends. If it's a hit song, I don't understand what he means. Hit so any. He said his new hit song, but I don't understand how is a hit song if nobody ain't playing it or nobody. Well, you get to that, right? Turner claimed a certain promoter didn't want to play his songs after he turned down the promoter's offer to manage him. Goes on to be quoted as saying, but what he failed to realize is I was born with that gift and I am a born black Trinbago man who has been contributing to soca music and my culture. I have faith in God. He knows my intentions are for the greater good. Now, I just want to go to Turner Instagram real quick, right? Because I think name call and thing in the news, they being a little gentle with this article. Because the man called names and he let be known who he was talking about and so on. He was talking about the great Chinese laundry. You know what I mean? Artist, businessman, radio station owner, fete promoter, artist manager, Soca Mafia. Is it we safe to say that the Chowlinon, not just Anthony Chowlinon, but can we say the Chowlinon family is the Soca Mafia who everybody's been referring to all the time? I could take the veil off the thing. I could talk like that. Is that libelous? Is the word Soca Mafia insulting and thing? I don't want to get in no trouble, you know. Too early in the year for me to get in problems. But when people coming out and saying openly that he was made an offer by Chinese laundry. So let me read it here, right? I read it from me making up nothing. I not putting no words out there to defame or anything anybody. I just reading what it is I see here. And this is from Turner Instagram page. And I want to get the start of a sentence. Because man, when there's no punctuation when you write an Instagram post now, where I find the start of a sentence? I'm going to read from the start. I see a lot of Trinbago media outlets, radio stations, DJs, especially artists who are doing the same genre of music, ignore my contributions to the soca art form. I see how they are treating me as a human being, but I already know how you all feel about me as a person and as a Trinbago artist. I used to be a big fan of soca pioneers, but I don't know if you've seen that one already done. I got to experience this sad reality. I advise you to go somewhere in Trinidad and Tobago, right? I'm only 4 years going on 5. I find that is instructive, but we're going to that 4 years going on 5 thing just now, right? I know I don't sound like the rest, but what can I do to positive human being? I want to get to the part we call Chinese laundry name. A human being who ain't even kill or thief from you or no one else. But I already know why you all put me in the backseat and ain't given my new hit songs any play. Like their soca friends, especially Chinese Laundry, who I once turned down his offer on wanting to manage me. I guess this is why he doesn't want me to be heard by my fans in Trinidad and Tobago. But what he failed to realize, I was born this gift, I'm a black Trinidad man and all these kind of things, right? So that's fair. So the gist of the story is that he feeling hard done by because his songs not getting played. And he tried kind of alluding to the fact that Chinese laundry might be a part of the reason why his songs not getting played, because he not being managed by Chinese laundry. We're going to do a deep dive into this, because I don't like these kind of things, and I don't like to see youths feeling like they're getting fight down. I don't like to see people fighting youths. I like youths a lot. So while I build a platform here that is to celebrate legends, I spend a lot of time trying to understand youths, you know what I mean? Because somebody gonna be here doing tributes to people like Turner, or doing tributes to people like, you know what I mean? 4 years in the business is not a long time, to be honest. I think this younger generation, I mean, I remember the frustration of now coming out of school at 21 years old or 22 or whenever I had a first degree, and feeling like I could be the CEO of a global corporation. You know, these degrees is gas you up. And the frustration when I couldn't get a job and I couldn't get promoted and nobody wanted to see me for the great entrepreneurial and managerial leader that I was and thing. And the reality is that at 42 years old, when I look back at it now, I couldn't do half of the things I thought I could do. And I couldn't be trusted in the way that I thought I could be trusted. A man tell me one time, a man named Damien in St. James, he tell me, and I see him recently on the port. I should have thanked him for telling me this too, because I was so vexed when he told me that. But as a young fella trying to get managerial roles, he said, but you can't even manage yourself. How you expect to manage people? Boy, I was vexed when he told me that. But when you look back at it now, he absolutely right. And the reality was that 3 years doing a degree and a couple years work experience is nothing, is a drop in the bucket. You now start putting work, you ain't do nothing yet. So I personally look out for things like this because, number one, I don't like the idea of people stifling youth, but also I do not subscribe to the idea of nobody fighting me down. I'm talking to you about me personally, right? If I don't get an opportunity, I don't get through with something, the first man I look at is myself. Now, that might have come with plenty age and them things, and I'm not saying I'm born so I'm not asking a young fella like Turner to think like me. But if I get a chance to talk to him, I will tell him that in this life, in this rough, cold, hard life, it's a nobody to blame for where you are than yourself. If you feel somebody fighting you, you had to find a way. And maybe this post is him finding a way, but you see that I cannot live with that attitude like if somebody doing me something and somebody closing the door on me. Because in my humble opinion, it's feel to me like if I given that person the power to close the door, to keep me out. Nobody can keep me out from what is mine. What is I want to accomplish is mine. So for instance, right? I like to talk. So one day as a young fella, I write down all the different jobs you do where you could talk. And I said, this is what I had to do for my lifetime. So I write down media, I say radio, I could talk whole day. I say I could lecture. I say in business, it is do presentations. I say in news reports, or all different things I kind of write down, what I could do where talking concerned. And one of my things I wanted to do was to get into radio. I love radio up to today. I am enamored by people like Dale and Tony. I was listening to Blaze and them this morning, as I do every other morning. And just hearing conversation and how callers calling, I've been fascinated by that since I was a child. And I went and do a radio course, a radio announcing thing. Salute to Nigel Nicholson and Star Media, I'm sure it's his company, Nigel Nicholson, right? I go on to Nigel, I went and do a course, and through Nigel, I did a internship with Iowa Station, midnight to 5 a.m. If you know me well enough, I can't stay up late in the night. But I love the thing so much that I find my way inside the radio station between 12 and 6 because I love it and I want to figure out a way to get it done. Now, I was lucky to be in a class like that. Lucky and all is that kind of thing. I was the timing of that was good enough for me because I had a job and I could have done it for free. Not for free, but not getting paid as an internship for a longer period of time than a lot of people in the class, which I used to my advantage because a lot of people was younger and now joining the job market and trying to get into radio as a full-time job. And because of that, they would come on for a few weekends and then try to do a demo and shop it around. And some of them got jobs, some of them are now doing different things. And I was on there every weekend. They give me the opportunity. It's like, all right, somebody cancel available. I was like, yes, I'm going, because number one is Iowa Station. If you know how I feel about Iowa, I was a legend to me. So just being in their presence and soak up some of that energy. I never see him in the station at all, but I see him after that, and I see him in Stalin funeral as well. And he had to know me, you know what I mean? Because I'd be known that, hey, I work on your station and them kind of thing, and I had my a big fan, you know, groupie again. But I take the opportunity with two hands, and that helped me to be able to get better a little bit and to understand what radio is about, how to do your voice entertaining, whatever it might be, or just stay up for 5 hours at a time. That and all is a task. But I never sent out a single application anywhere to go and join a radio station, because my life and where I was working and the things I was doing, I say, you know what? That might not be for me. I mightn't get through with that. And I was, to be honest with you, I was kind of waiting for somebody to hear the greatness of my talent overnight and call and offer my job, but that unfortunately never happened. And then I stick until I eventually buy the equipment and start my own podcast and do my own thing. And I'm not trying to put myself out there as no example for Turner, because me and figure out how to monetize this podcast yet. Sometimes I struggle to do episodes. I realize these days when I'm lecturing on a weekend and I had the podcast to do, like I don't have the energy to come on and get it done. I'm tired. But I'm figuring out a way. And more than anything else I'm saying, I'm trying to say to people like Turner, or young people who feel, because I have no doubt that he might be getting squeezed out for real. But if you're getting squeezed out, brother, you have to find a way to squeeze yourself in somewhere else. The question I have is bookings and fetes and airplay on radio, is it based on talent and is it based on hit songs? Because the reality is, like, I listen to Turner's songs, and they're all right. These songs, they say, okay. I mean, to be truthful to it, better than some of these songs I hear and playing on radio now, but it's no big monster song to say it can't be denied. I suspect if you had a monster song like some songs you had in your 4 years already, that there's no one person that could stop you from being, maybe not booked in feds, but certainly people who will be following your music, because we have several people now who music cannot be played on the radio, but they're finding a way and they get in there, you know what I mean? And you living in that era now that have so much other avenues. You're trying to tell me Chinese Laundry, who own one radio station, and let's assume that he controlling what play on all radio stations, and he have control over what many fets, because I suspect that the fets also calls are made. I'm pretty sure that these fet promoters has come together. Let me tell you a story about when Price Mart was coming to Trinidad, right? I will get somewhere, you know. I have a tendency to make a point eventually, right? When Price Mart was first coming to Trinidad, big grocery in this country was protesting. You know, if all you feel is protesting is an individual thing. Big grocery chain who own all the groceries and to me have all the money in the world. I wish I could have a business like them. Was protesting against the government and saying the government shouldn't allow these foreign companies and things to come here and this and that and the other. And they formed themselves, or if the association was there before, into a grocery owners association and come together in a unified voice to try to stop Price Mart from coming in. When Digicel was coming into this country, right? A big company named Telco and Textel, we formed TSTT, one of the biggest companies in the world, that launched a brand name B-Mobile that is a household name, that are halfway owned by the government and halfway owned by a big British conglomerate by the name of Cable and Wireless. Them fellas and them protest and say they shouldn't allow things, and they lobby against the government, and they don't. The idea of not wanting to compete is very, very Trinidadian. People don't like to compete in this country. The first step to making big business in this country is to get yourself being a monopoly. Either by forming a business and stopping everybody else from forming a business just like you, or by having a business and making everybody so small and insignificant, and if they get big, you buy them out, or you finance the next party so you could stop them from doing. Down to the political parties is monopolies in this country. I see Philip Alexander say he retiring today. Let me get that a round of applause. He said he done, the man tired. Because he fighting against a monopoly, or if you only want to talk economics, they have a thing named oligopoly, where a monopoly is when one big firm is dominating an industry, right? A oligopoly is just where you have a few big firms who dominate anything. And a duopoly is where it's two. A lot of businesses in Trinidad operate like either monopolies or duopolies, where it's two of them, or oligopoly. And one of the first lessons we learned in economics, right? When you're talking about an oligopoly, where a few big, very strong businesses, you name the industry for me. And I go call the company's name who in the oligopoly, but too early in the year to get into problems, right? It's a few firms that control everything, whether you're going to talk about food, drinks, snack, restaurant, telecommunications, retail, what business you want to call. All of them is just a few. Not that they don't have plenty businesses in the industry, right? The point of it is that in the industry, while they have plenty groceries, they have 3 or 4 very big groceries that dominate everything. It has some pharmacy in the country, hundreds of them, but it have 3 or 1 that dominate everything. So they are the biggest boys. They have the most branches, the biggest branches. The name is household names. Everybody else is local. You want to bake bread? There are some people who dominate the bread industry in this country. It is the Trinidadian way of doing business. So fete promoters is the same thing. It's the same oligopoly that is before. It's a real fete. Because this is the second week in January. What my date saying here? The 10th? If it's the 10th of January I recording this, we done had about 25 fete already in the first 2 weekends of the year. And so Trinidad is the greatest place on earth. It's the greatest place they ever invent. Just Trinidad and Tobago. And with so many different events, you could still check the promoters and you would realize that it's about 5 or 6 very big promoters that dominate in the space, who have in the biggest events with tens and twenties or thousands of people. Them fellas and them dominating it. Same thing with mass band. It have a real mass band in this country, but it's about 4 or 5 that really run in the carnival. And it's the same thing with soca artists, managers and things. So I have no doubt that promoters come together and they talk about what they're going to do. And in that talking about what they're going to do, they may well decide, all right, here was the scene. We're making sure this person good. We're booking them throughout all the fete, them price looking right and thing. You see these fellas here, them making style, you see our set of price, them charging and all these set of conditions and thing them want. We ain't meeting that, right? We ain't encouraging that because I go mash we up and we go can't make money in the years to come. Because the first set of things is learn. Because a monopoly is just do what they want. It's them alone in the business. And then I just see recently, an example of a monopoly in the papers is TNTech, and they say, here what's going on? The RIC say prices going up for current. And we can't do nothing about that. And that's how monopolies operate. They could change their price. Any inefficiency them have, or they can't run the business, they can't do. Boy, when it's a monopoly and your service you're providing is a necessity, you will raise your price consistently and we will have to pay it. That is what's going to happen with TNTech soon. Unfortunately, when you have an oligopoly or duopoly where you have more than one firm, the only way to get the benefits of a monopoly is to collude, to come together and have meetings, either openly by calling yourself thing like OPEC and forming yourself in a cartel, which is just like, not the vibes cartel, but a cartel is just companies coming together to form one unified decision-making entity. So OPEC is just a body who's come together and make decisions about oil and oil production and by extension oil price and who get and who ain't get, right? I am guaranteeing you the same things happen with fete promoters here now. They come together and they collude. That's one of the first things you go learn when you start to learn about oligopolies. That overt and covert collusion, but collusion there is. I remember learning this in UE. And one of the things they used to talk to me about is on our Peter Avenue at the time, it have clubs, right? And they say what the clubs used to come together and do in their collusion, because the idea behind the collusion is to make sure that, number one, these few companies that operate in the industry continue to be profitable in the long run and make good money. And one of the ways of doing that is to make sure other firms don't get too big. So they just come together and make decisions behind closed doors or in the open and let them know, right? So because I don't know of any open promoter association that says they set their prices and decide on dates, who will do what and all those things, I can't say that they overtly colluding, so assuming that they covertly colluding. Because what men used to do on the Avenue, according to my lecturer, is I will decide, all right, you see, this night I go play dancehall and soca. That night you play rock and them thing. You go get the rock crowd and I will play this. And Saturday all of we will live. Because Saturdays are enough people coming out and Friday night enough people coming out to make sure that place ram, right? So when we on the Avenue here and plenty less people coming out, it make sense to what we doing. To dance all night, the same night and competing with one another head on. We go both lose out. So what we go do is, the night I do in dancehall, you play rock and heavy metal and thing, and you go attract that crowd. And we go switch wrong. So I go do that Tuesday, I go have a reggae night on Tuesday, you go have a reggae night on Sunday. You understand? These people, it making sense? They come together and they work these things out. I have no doubt that the promoters in this country work it out, because if that wasn't the case, plenty big fete would have bounced up on the same day. And I want you to notice something when you're watching your carnival calendar. It have 10 and 20 events every weekend. But every weekend, only have one big fete by the big boys. Only want to call name and thing. This weekend only have out and south. If you watch a little group who working together, they're making sure they don't clash up. And then carnival week, they say, all right, you go take Monday, I go take Tuesday, you go take thing, you go take Saturday morning, I go come in the evening. And when they make up the thing like that, they're making sure the same set of artists eat throughout, because let me say the big song for the year looking now like Bungie, right? And you have fete, big fete, and sometimes when it's solid G's, and sometimes I will talk about that a little while, because I find personally, if you write a song and it have the word isosceles in it, you should start writing over your song. But Bungie is a legend, so Bungie know what you're doing way better than I could talk, right? But the reality is this, they're making sure that if we clash up, that means everybody will Bungie in their fete. So let me say promoter A and promoter B have a same fete on the same carnival weekend at the same time. They're going to end up in a bidding war for Bungie, and Bungie price going to end up going up, and then all of we go bust. So here what? We go split it up nice, all we booking the same set of artists. And Turner seems to have found himself on the outside of this group of artists. So that is where the idea, I am assuming, because the idea of the Soca Mafia come long before we time, and don't feel nothing start today. Stalin and them who we celebrating was talking about the Soca Mafia back then. Or the Mafia, you know what I mean? And David Rudder and them. This Mafia talk ain't no start. But somehow the Chowlin name in several iterations has been bandied about as part of the Soca Mafia. But I just want to put it to you that it is just private business being private business. You mightn't like it, you mightn't find it fair, but the faster you get to understand it, you'll start to make different decisions. Because I see a man in a Soca Mafia meeting, or what being called allegedly a Soca Mafia meeting, right? I see TC in the meeting, nigga, you walking there. Ding dong walking there. I see Ufanal Shal walking there carrying a shit. This was their second star as well. So there seemed to be a meeting at the Ojo World 96.1. And who gets to come in and talk in the meeting? The great Trinidad Killer. The gunman all himself. Coming in and talking in the meeting. So one of the things about collusion, right, is that you could also take up the attitude, if you can't be them, join them. And people go call you all kind of thing, eh? People go say all kind of thing about you. But if you can't be them and you join them, you might find yourself on the right side of the history. No, I'm not exactly suggesting to Turner or anybody to join them, because you know they go call you all kind of lick this and lick that and brown nose and all different kind of thing they will call you. But I'm just saying that from a business standpoint, as an entertainer, a writer, a soca star, whatever, you have to remember that you're a business. And if you are a business and the promoters colluding, which I'm telling you they are, the radio stations colluding, which I'm putting to you that they are, because in the urban spaces are oligopoly too. All radio stations operate like oligopolies, but in the urban spaces, oligopolies. And then when you add it up, and who own the radio stations, you're going to realize the biggest set of radio stations or the biggest set of media in this country, they're owned by two companies. It's no more than that. Who is the dominant radio stations or TV stations in this country? It's two people. So them fellas go come together and work out the thing, because now any fool like myself could buy a mic and buy a thing and talk whole week and make and break artists and thing. Anybody could do it. You're seeing it in bigger markets. You're seeing where it used to be the breakfast clubs of the world and the Hot 97 and them thing breaking rappers. Now you're seeing rappers going on podcasts with Gillian Wallow, with Noriega, with Matt Hoffa and them, Joe Budden. You're seeing where there's a different avenue that could come up and compete at a much lower cost, because all I had to do is turn on two lights and press record and I have a podcast out. The reality is that the radio stations, it is in their best interest to come together and work out how they are going to continue to dominate in the long run. And in this case situation, I on the outside, I had to figure out how to compete and figure out I will. I hear, me ain't going no place. So if you find yourself on the outside of the collusion or the outside of the coming together and working together, You have two decisions you could make. I find that empowering. You could go and join them and figure out a way to eat with them, eat at their table, or you could understand that that is what it is and work around it. What I don't understand is the notion that you could just sit down home and say, it's a mafia and the mafia killing we, and even the mafia killing the culture, and even the mafia and the that does not work very well for me because I find like it does not. I don't get to take no action. I don't better myself. I don't get anywhere. I feel like if that is keep me back. The mentality that somebody fighting me down, I just listen to myself when I talking to myself with that. And when I hear myself saying, boy, this man fighting me, I just say, Corey, get up and get. Figure out something. Try something different. Do something. If you're on radio and you're going overnight and nobody don't want to spot your greatness, save up your 2 little pennies, brother, and buy a mic and start to talk. And all when you're talking and you feel like nobody ain't listening, talk. At least you will get better at it. You ain't making no money, but getting better over time. And I'm putting it to Turner especially because I don't want to pick on any one artist because, again, I want to make it very clear too that I love Turner. I like Turner's style and the way he's sing, and the man just have a different vibes. And I just find that when you have something like that, you cannot be denied. If you keep working, and 4 years, I ask any one of the people who you seeing accomplishing something, what they was doing 4 years in. Machel Montano celebrating 40 years in India. He's part of the mafia too. I could tell you, he's one of them who decide that I'm going to work with the colluders and I'm going to find a way. And I don't think the colluders could avoid working with him and them kind of thing. No. They need him. He might need them a little bit too, right? I ain't taking anything away from that. But the fact is that they need Machel. And Machel have a choice now in terms of what fete he show up at. If he only perform at his own fete. If he throw a big show the night of Brass Festival and mash up that. Or if you throw fete on a Monday night, where there's usually a small fete and turn it into the biggest fete in the whole of Carnival. Or if you take a cruise and take away all the Carnival people and carry them Cancun. He have a choice as to whether to do that or not now. And I always feel it more empowering if I make a choice. I could decide I'm going to fight the cartel. Like Live Golf. Live Golf is some golf. Just Google Live Golf, right? LIV Golf, I think it is. And them fellas went and get golfers to come and sign up with them, give them some better terms and conditions, and they have a rival tournament running to the PGA Tour right now. You could decide that you're going to fight them, or you could decide, listen, like Tiger Woods say here, what my bread butter in here, I stay in with PGA Tour, and I go and make deals that make sure PGA Tour here for a long time, and by extension, I going to be here for a long time. Same thing I was saying, I see Jack Warner come out and say he gave you the greatest World Cup ever, and he paying the price for it. So listen to the article. I don't understand England and Americans when it comes to these things because FIFA is a monopoly and they ain't like that because they ain't get the World Cup. But you could also go and make your own tournament. FIFA is a private entity. So to me, Chinese Laundry is a private entity. 96.1 is a private entity. Ojo is a private entity. And you know my take on developing our country and having us go further. It is the private entities who are going to carry the country and push it forward. So I'd be glad when I see meetings with Chinese Laundry and all these artists going on. Because those are the things that will advance the culture. Now, if you don't like who having the meeting, and you don't like the person and you feel they have ill intention, I could help you out there, you know. The intention might be ill to you, but I could tell you that in them fellas' rooms, the intention is long-term sustainability and profitability. Let us not forget that is a business. Now, culture itself is a business, right? And culture is our business, the people's business. So I could see why people don't like things like this because I saw Orlando Octave, for instance, posting that the brown nosing thing and they won't mash up the culture and them things. And yes, people can affect the culture, but the culture could be affected in a negative way as much as it's affected in a positive way. And it's our responsibility collectively. I want to go back to what Omari was saying. You know. Omari was saying when he was covering Stalin funeral, it's our responsibility to make sure culture goes where it goes. Because I do not, when people talk about the mafia and the 1% and thing, I don't subscribe to these things largely. Maybe because I see myself as part of the mafia. Could put it like that. I want to start a business too. And I want to, whatever profitable, I want to get involved in that. And I want to be in control of my own destiny and get it to where I had to get to be. And then I could say what I want to say and collude with who I want to collude and don't talk to who I don't want to talk to. And I think that is what people are mistaken about. These are private entities. I'm not saying this about a Chinese laundry or Marshall or the other people who they would accuse of this is the talk about Jules Sobian or Hoppy, and they don't care nothing about the culture and them, and they're making money off it. What do you want to call them? Culture vulture, whatever word you come up with other than Soca Mafia, right? Let's assume that they don't care anything about the culture and they're just in it to make money. They're just straight up businesses, which I don't believe at all. But let's assume that they are. I don't see it as different from a man who bottle water from the pipe and tell you his artisan well water from and sell it to you for $5 where you can get for free. It's a private enterprise. Private enterprises are to make money. They're to make money and grow and employ people. They will always benefit society. So I just have a different view of that idea of Soca Mafia and 1% and the Illuminati. You see all this kind of boogeyman thing? Me and them said a boogeyman thing. Let me figure out how to, if anything, I want to sit down with Chinese Laundry for 5 minutes and figure out, hey, how you do? How you manage to have a radio station, and if your name is Laundry, you have a laundry, what you do to make money and them kind of thing, outside of illegal things. Now, if I get to that point, I will probably decide on what's the best songs based on the songs that I like. But I could tell you that if I get to that point, they go call me Mafia too. And they go say I wicked, and somebody go make a post about me saying I squeezing them out and I'm wicked and I do what the hell, damn, and all them kind of thing. But my first responsibility, as with my business now, my responsibility is to my team and making sure that this business is sustainable and it's around for a long time. I have plenty of people who we're responsible for. So more than just profitability, I had to make sure this business is around for the next 10 years because we are affecting plenty lives. And I don't see it as any different when Chinese Laundry doing what he had to do, or Marshall doing what he had to do, or Jules or whoever. And I just wish that we as artists could realize that when you reach the point that Turner reached in 4 years, you are no longer a talent. It's not a hustle. It's a business. And to have a business and to run a business, you're going to have to continue to invest in yourself. You have to get the best people around you. You have to take it to our next level. But as we always on this podcast, they always have reminders, you know. And since I get so much a buff up for not playing certain songs from Stalin, I get all kind of things. Not really buff up. People say, how you didn't play this? How you didn't play that? I want to play a song by Stalin that I want Turner and everybody else who feel like somebody fighting them down. I just want to get a reminder from the great one. God.
Say you get up one morning, hey. Your elders have something, hey. You don't know how they get it, but you want to use it. But if you ask them old people to get the things what they went through, ask them this any day, and your parents sure to say, black man got to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. Make up your mind, brother, that you're able to get a pulley and jam with the devil. Why? Black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. Make up your mind, brother, that you're ready to swim offshore and hold your boat steady. Black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. So when you hear, you get a little.
Hey, Turner.
With that dragon, now you.
I want you to listen to this line good.
I don't tell you already.
Black man don't get nothing easy.
You get up one morning, hey. And oil money running, oh. How it come you don't know, so that it care how the thing go. But if they read about Uriah, they wanna find out the pressure, how we get so much old hell to get a penny from TLL. Black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. You got to take up your own cash money, pay people for your own refinery. Black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. Make up your mind to be a magician, to make money out of scrap iron. Black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. So when you hear you get a little something, with that eagle eye you keep watching, because I don't tell you already. Black man don't get nothing easy. get up one morning, independence happening. They think the thing come easy. Now they're taking liberty. But if they know about petition, we are to send to England for some woman to tell we in this colony free. Black man have to keep on jabbing, for black man to get a little something. You got to go to conference in England to get independence in your own land. Black man have to keep on jabbing, for black man to get a little something. People hold you, humiliate you, turn on and sell you, and then they free you. Black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. So when you hear you get a little something with that dragon, now you keep watching, because I don't tell you already.
Black man don't get nothing easy. So salute to the young Turner. You know, Turner is a legend. I'm sure we'll get time to play some Turner music as well over the course. We have a few songs to play now, because beyond just the oldies, the goldies, the legends and things, I have some soca to play from this year. But I just want to mention as well that I always go back to this little young brother who find a way playing music in the little room there, you know what I mean? Heavy brick wall you used to see and vests. But men starting to look nice and the skin looking clean and the clothes looking better and the little jewelry looking shinier. And they find a way. I don't know if they needed radio. So much of people now not needing radio, and I think we at a unique crossroads where we don't even need, you know, sometimes the oligopoly gets so stuck playing with one another, playing with itself and his monopolies, that they get stuck. You know what was a nice little story I hear about monopolies one time? They say in the States, right, they used to sell ice. That is back in the day, right, before it had fridge and them thing. So what people used to do is have ice factories, and they used to go around and deliver ice to people. When they started to invent fridge, guess how much an ice factory was involved in the invention of fridge? Zero. They went out of business completely, because sometimes they think the shift and the innovations has changed and is leave you stuck and set in your ways there. When you watch think of long time when you used to go and borrow movie. You remember that? You used to go in the video club. Salute to Tribs. If you know St. James, you're going to know it's Tribs. They used to call them my boy Greg and them Haywood. Them fellas at that video club. You're going by Greg and you had to borrow a VHS or a Betamax video. And if you rewind it, they charge you extra $1. $5 for the week. If you later carried back, they charge you an extra $1 again. And you could only borrow 2 movies at a time. There's the same thing used to happen with a company called Blockbuster Videos in the States. You know what I mean? You get DVDs and them kind of thing. Netflix come and make something now, and them fellas home Blockbuster out of business completely. You know what I mean? And now streaming change again, and Netflix looking like they're shortly out of business soon. They're raising their prices, the network going down. They didn't really seeing the kind of success they were seeing before. So I'm feeling like young brother, the little Zest movement, they're showing us something here where the things shift. No radio station manager not going to be able to squeeze nobody out. They're going to try, because that's what cartels do. They will try to meet and decide and who sing and who sing and who put what promoters and who win in the road march. Them things will continue to happen, but we are at a crossroads now where the innovation and the way people receiving music and listening to music and things that done change already. So you have an opportunity. Tempo is a good example of that. I see Tempo. No. There's have a real big cross section of people that listen to this podcast, right? So when I say temper, it has some people who will get who temper is immediately. And there are some people who ain't gonna know who is temper at all, right? And I'm not playing no temper, right? So if you're not in the know, you ain't gonna know. But the song is go T-E-M-P-A and the soca. You go and find that, right? But Temper was singing She'll Zest Me. How Temper is identified? Temper singing all kind of music, Zest, whatever it is, right? And find a way to break through from the ground, a ground swell that lead into now Temper being booked everywhere. I have 2 stories to tell you about Temper, right? Because I went to Paramount to play some music and thing. And I'm hungry. So when I'm coming back down Chagonas, I say, boy, let me take a lime in it. Me and my brethren say we will go down in the penka and get some wings. When you go on in the penka now, penka is a full fete swinging. Next thing you know, we hear Temper performing. So we were to 2 old self. We say we will go lime a 5. Let me see what Temper saying. You know what I mean? Sometimes you have to play young, you know. But boy, I still, because when Temper, no, I lie. They didn't say Temper was performing. We was just liming there at 5. And I see people walking and he say, hey, you didn't see Temper? But me know what Temper look like, you know, because you hold like hell, like I see too well in the night. But what I know is I see a whole entourage of people who I want to exaggerate here. I see at least 20-something people walking. Some faces look familiar. One look like priests from DSS and so on. Some other faces look familiar. Like I see some cricketers. I think I see Riyad Emrit, if I'm not mistaken. A few cricketers was there, which was strange. But all this is Temper entourage. But what strikes me as strange more than anything else is because one of them had a towel on their head. And you see me, from the time you're walking with towel on your head and thing, then it's time for old people like me to sap their foot and go inside. I went plenty thing. I was all about, I don't feel I miss out on nothing. Once I see certain movements, I need to go home. But my boy tell me it's Temper, so I decided to go lime and see Temper performance and thing. And turns out the person with the towel on the head was Temper DJ, right? Oh God, I can't remember the DJ name. Lick Shot or something dangerous was the name, right? But I scared already. But when time for Temper to come on and perform, I watching DJ Lick Shot, he come back on the stage and he organizing the laptop and them thing. But I find like the security increase. And I've seen 3 big security guards mark security on their back, orchestrating the whole scene in front of the stage for Temper and thing. And I'm thinking to myself, well, what is this really? I don't know that Temper in so much danger when she performing that she need all this sort of security. Coincidentally, I see a clip on Instagram with her performing in Nyla's show. Salute to Nyla. I think it's Nyla had this show Soca Mafia. I find it look like vibes, and Nyla in general is vibes. I see Temper performing in Soca Mafia and jump down and going by the crowd and like she frightened to jump down. She's saying, "All the strong men come with me." All the gangster things she played on stage, she telling them, "All the rough me up, eh?" And she went down in the crowd and she do a good job. She's a performer, genuine performer, because she come on the stage and I think to myself, okay, there's a lot of security for somebody at 2 songs. What's going on here? What exactly we securing? But she come on and she say, well, we in Russian the performance and started play Afro beats, right? And was more like a selector than a performer. But I could tell you this, when Temper come on that stage, the vibes lift up in the place and all the women went to the front of the stage. If you don't know Temper, you might know why, but if you know Temper, you know why, right? All the women went in front of the stage, including the bar staff and the people who supposed to be bringing the wings and things, them in front of the stage. And Temper have an energy and a vibe where you're expecting an artist who come in a club to start to sing the songs, but she say, hey, we in Russian performance, and they start to play some Afrobeats thing, and she just hyping the crowd. And you're clearly seeing that this person have something, right? That her level of performing on her next level. Because I don't know that other people could just go up on stage and hype up song and think people will get fed up. They want to hear the song. And even me who watching for the sake of content or with a critical eye, I never even realized when it switched from the Afrobeats into a full performance. And she had them girls on the stage wild, which little T-E-M-P, A for apple and B for, you know what I mean? I ain't gonna say the rest, but she had them in her frenzy. I had all in her frenzy too. If you see me like I want to go in front, but I can, no, that would not work well, you know what I mean? But the thing about it is this Temper and them find a way. And with the whole vibe and the whole energy she creates, I was telling my boy that when I add it up, that whole security and towel overhead and all is a part of the image that artists had to have. And with that image and her stage presence and thing, I ain't taking nothing away from that. Because if you don't have a product to sell, you could be in trouble. It seems as though she booked for every fete. Everything I see for the first few weekends of the fete season, she in there. So like she get inside with the mafia somehow or the other, you know. So I mean, this is why I should be trying to understand with Turner. Hire some security, sing some Afrobeats, whatever it is you had to do to rise up your thing to our next level. Do that. And if the complaining about it is to help you highlight your song, because sometimes that could be a little marketing plan too, you know. You complain and you call people Soca Mafia, and now all of a sudden I so go in and check out your song to see if it's good and you get a little more exposure than you would get before. Do that, but I like how Temper find her way into the thing and now take a song was T-M-P in your center, put it in your soca, write over some lyrics, and with her performing ability and things, she go take over this carnival in her own way. And the second point I wanted to make about Temper was something I heard Omari Ashby say in Stalin funeral. He was breaking down one of Stalin verses, right, which was Caribbean Man. And he was talking, the same thing I was talking about on the podcast last week, about Stalin being accused of being racist. And Caribbean Man was one of the things where he was being accused of that, because when he said he's one race from the same place, on the same trip, on the same ship, some people would say that is not true. Indenturers came from on different ships from a different place, and there's not the same race and all that. But Omari was saying people was missing the point of the song. And the point of the song was basically trying to say that we have a common set of experiences. We are not the same, but we have a commonality that running through all of us. And the way to get a unity is to appreciate each other commonalities and appreciate each other's differences, as he had put it. If we all is the same, that's a boring world to live in. So what we must do is start to appreciate the differences that we have. And as much as we share our commonalities, I think that is what make Trinidad a nice place. When Diwali come, I want to paint up some day. Now, St. James is a place to teach you that, because when you're in St. James, you appreciate a lot of different people, cultures. You know what I mean? And it's just how we live. It's just the way it is in St. James. Like, I always hear people talking about you going by the barber, like an Indian and a trim by Indian and thing. I go by Ronald's an Indian. Ronald trim me since as a matter of fact, I leave Shagonas to go quite by Ronald to trim. It's just how St. James is. That's just, we just appreciate it. And I suspect that if I talk to enough people about enough different areas, you'll find that plenty of the traditional lives that we live in, the places we come from, they're like that. We different. And we celebrate and enjoy our differences for what they are. But he was breaking down the last verse of the song, which he said people was kicking up to as well, which is basically saying that so all these other things they're doing to form a unity is something that Rastas doing that the politicians don't know. So he said the Rastafari movement spreading and Carifta dying slow is something them Rastas doing that the politicians don't know. And Omari's point was that what he was trying to say is that power does not come from the top down. It's come from the ground up. So the Rastafarian movement is a movement that built from grassroots and built from the ground coming up. And it spread throughout the Caribbean. Who knows how Rastafarianism spread? It's through artists, it's through poets, lecturers, Rasta who believe in it and talk to people. So when you see a movement come from the ground, it cannot be stopped by no Soca Mafia. And that's the point Stalin was making in the last verse of the song, according to Omari, because when the politicians trying to create unity from the top down, unity don't come from the top down like that. Unity is be formed on the ground. You think about your community where you live and them kind of thing. You form your own friendships with people. They come together. You have a football side. You have a little lime. Or you're going to a little fete. You're going to church together. You're going Moss Mandy, whatever it is. You sort of come together now. And those kind of movements cannot be stopped. So it's so much to take from the greats that we have to remember as a group of young artists who doing their thing. We mustn't forget and don't ever feel like people who put in political or business power, don't ever feel like they have the control over what's going to happen in these spaces. The power is always with the ground. So if we find ways to come together and unite and do our own thing, we will find something. So I by no means suggesting that a man must go in Tony Chowlin meeting and decide what he want to do. Although I don't knock Trinidad Killer for doing that at all, or Fanals or anybody else who is a part of that. If it benefits you business-wise, do it. But you could also form your own little groundswell and do your own thing, man. Because I really like how Voice, Salty, Akeem, Papi, Elon is his youth name. I always forget his name, but Bad DJ. That little group, Travis, they come together and Penny and form their own little movement. Not saying they don't have help or whatever it might be, but they form their own little movement. And now Voice is the biggest show in Carnival. When Voice have a show, remember Tobago Carnival, Voice show was the biggest show. You come together and form your own little movements, because once that build from the ground up, it's too powerful for any one group or entity to walk in and try to stop. Anyway, talking about biggest show in Carnival, right? A few things I want to touch on with Marshall concern here, right? First, I saw they say some of Carnival's biggest hitmakers have teamed up on a project called The Spirit of Carnival. The project features 4 songs: Umbrella by Bungie Garland, Behavior Nothing by Skinny Fabulous, Mental Day by Kess, and The Spirit by Marshall Montano, right? Now, listen, you see big artists on the next level, right? And this is why I always say things like, Carnival is be a better thing when a youth like Turner have a hit song, or Benjai or Swappy. Carnival is be better. You need songs in the mix, because listening to these songs this year, and Stacey was coincidentally, she just come and tell me the same thing this morning. The music we hearing dominating the radio stations, it's songing like when when you go Antigua for a vacation, you go Jamaica, or you go anywhere up the Caribbean, it's something like what is play on the resort for white people who's wear Hawaiian shirt. They have a different Hawaiian shirt for every day, and Hawaii has nothing to do with the Caribbean, but they have a different Hawaiian shirt for every day of the week, and a big straw hat, and one of them surfer sandal and all them things. You know the type this be on the resort, and they drink white rum till they wine low and fall down. All the music, all the rhythms I hearing, songing just like that. Bar a few who's standing out, right? And I'm feeling like if I saw somebody posted today, like, oh, they had 4 years or 2 years or whatever during COVID to come up with something, and days all they come up with. I'm feeling like artists and producers in particular, like they just gained with what they had. You see, boy, push out all that. I trust that is because we early in January and all they are real thing to come still. But they have some artists who are not going to be able to play all of it. Over the course of the week, I'll probably play all, but I want to salute a few people because Destra singing a tune there. I go spend some time on Destra one of these weeks before Carnival because Destra is a general. Destra, like, she don't promote song too much no more. I don't hear her on the radio doing too much an interview when she launch a song. I don't see her in no bag of fete. The whole first weekend going and see Destra at all. You see him Bungie and Fair and everywhere. But you don't see but Destra have a little song that say easy. Destra and herself. Nessa and Alison Hines is a big song. Nyla has some big songs. Lyrical have a way of fitting in a groove that is amazing. So I don't know how Lyrical has come up with a little hook line and fitting them little groovers so. And I'll spend some time on him too because that whole coming out on New York thing, I don't know if it's that. Something about Lyrical just different. He voiced the way he's put together a song, but he's singing song for old people like myself, you know. Because I can't take the isosceles. I wanted a big fete and a Thursday with apologies and a Thursday with like canopies and a pants and one of these. I can't take too much. I come to mash up. From the time you sing that, I go in the back. Not because it's a bad song, because that is probably the biggest song for the carnival right now. But it's just because I too old. I cannot handle that. So I like how Lyrical is just say, all I want is to have a little fete with you. That is my kind of speed there because when I go a fete, I like cooler fete now because I don't have to move from my... The only time I move my cooler is when I have to take a leak. I'm not going by no bar and walk around between those other people. I only want to go small fete. My tickets for Rise and Roast is secure. Rise and Roast have a couple. I don't know if it's 1,000 or 100 people. It feels small. I just feel like I know plenty of people there. I feel safe. As there are too much people, big flag like canopies. I don't want no big flag like no canopies at all. I just like how Lyrical. Turn up the fete till it turn over. Tell them this fete get over. That's me right there. Is that like a David Rudder kind of pace? That is my tempo right there. But salute to all these artists, which I will get to when I'm talking about week to week, right? We'll go through some songs, right? I want to share some song with all you. But I was watching this post since this post was in the beginning of the year. And the first thing I think to myself, well, let's see what they say they approve our budget is 147 million for Carnival. When I see the 4 names they call Marshall, Bungie, Kess, well, Bungie, but they ain't call Fair and Bungie alone. Apparently, according to Cassia, that don't happen at all. But Bungie, Marshall, Skinny Fabulous, and Kess. I say, well, oh God, 50 out of the $147 million gone down the drain there already. Because this is not cheap, people. But I guess I'm not sure exactly what the purpose of this project is, but they're working on a thing called Spirits of Carnival. I have no doubt that the government have a piece of money put inside this, which is probably the lion's share of the budget. But the quality of the music that these fellas put together, right, is on a next level. Because I find the resort music, nobody ain't singing about nothing. They're just saying, it's a bumper and banging the thing in the guitar and sign on. It's like the thing be rough to any kind of little ideas, any vibes, any little unique lyrics, anything. Just singing monotonous. When you listen to the radio now to hear soca, it's the monotony. I find Turner should be glad they ain't playing his song in that mix. It's just singing boring a kind of way. But these fellas come out with some songs. Now, I want to play in particular the Marshall and the Bungie because you see that isosceles thing, I can't take that, but you can't take nothing away from Bungie in terms of how he's put together a song. So I will listen to this song by Marshall from right, The Spirits of Carnival, because this is a monster song that I think people sleeping on. And it is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger as Carnival go along. Hear this. Something telling me jump, something telling me wave, something telling me this is the end. I can feel the spirit, it calling me, the spirit calling me, spirit, it calling me. Start to jump around if you feel the spirit, it calling me, the spirit calling me, spirit, it calling me. Start to jump around. Hey, so when it call, you must answer. Respond. song have a different level of energy, boy. And I don't know. It feels as if I was always talking to my boy Nico from Nico from Premier Studios, right? And I don't understand. I see him posting the other day and saying that it had no reason in this day and age why soca artists should be off key and off pitch and them thing when they're making songs, right? When they have auto tune and them thing. And I'm trying to ask him, like, when he's a producer and he's listening to artists in his studio, these producers is great musicians too. Them fellas hearing is on a next level. I remember being in studios a few times. Like I was in a studio in Woodbrook at a time with a producer who had a Marshall track. And they play a little piece. This little my boy Colonel King, I was with him, and they play a little piece of a Marshall song. And the song great to me. I mean, I was a little groupie myself, but the song great. I was like, what? Marshall bad next year. And he's like, nah, this ain't done enough. And I was thinking to myself, ain't done? But the boy, that is a hit. And he's like, nah, my boy had to come in and do ad-libs and things still. And I said, all right, well, you know all you're saying and thing. But all I thinking in my mind is all you're going to spoil that song because that song perfect already. And brother, when I hear that song for the first time with the ad-libs and the producer finish and thing, I could not believe, I say like, I need to shut up. You understand? Because these people know what they're doing. So artists, these people know, it's the same thing I was talking about with playing music with Nuxie. I like playing music with people like them because they hear everything. They hear and they're real good. They practice the instrument, they know the music, and they hear everything. They hear the accurate chords. They know what's in tune, what's out of tune, what's songing right, what not songing right, what could work here, what can't work here. So I don't doubt them producers, but I wonder sometimes if they're in a room with them and you're hearing the way a man's singing a song. You know, it's annoying me a little bit when the way the artist say something. When Marshall finish a song, you're not going to hear no words overlapping in a line and he stretch out a word over. It's hard to describe it, but you know who's do it a lot? Who's a legend? So you see Trinidad Killer very bad when it comes to writing music and putting it together. But I was wondering if a producer will just tell him, hey, try and say that different. The syllable that you're stretching out there, it ain't songing good. It ain't songing powerful. Say that different. I saw a little snip with David Rudder and Sean Winchester in studio working on a song. And they show you where both of them trying to figure out how to say a word. He say, boy, should I say hit me or give me or, you know, and they're trying to put the words, I wonder if this is making sense to anybody who listens. They're trying to find the exact right words to have the right impact when the song recorded. Because it's a song, you can't say every word you want, but you want to have the words have a certain impact. You don't want to leave words open or put a soft sound in a powerful part of the song. So to me, you have to work on these things before you put out a song, because then the concept of your song and the little song you write and things go down the drain because it didn't really connect. When Marshall put together a song, it finished, you know, there's no lines all over the place and he falling out of the line or he off key here or he pitched slightly. It does not happen, man. It shows somebody who put in a lot into their craft, probably 50 million, right? Putting a lot into their craft and finishing the thing and spending hours in, because I telling you that song was finished. And then when I hear it, I know, hey, it ain't done. So it seemed as though, and Iniko point to me was, plenty soca artists paying producers by the hour. So the idea is to get his song done in an hour and get out of there. I always remember, salute my boy Umba from Matsi Miller. He have a Black Stalin dub plate, a black man feeling to party. Matsi Miller, kill them in the party, party up. And I remember him telling me about Stalin doing the dub plate for him. And he says Stalin only coming back. Like he finished a part and he said, all right, well, I'll come back tomorrow, I'll fix up that part, I'll do it. Because the man concerned with putting, I mean, Stalin might not understand exactly how a dub plate is like a rough version of the song. But even credit to him, he trying to put a quality version of the song. So he take about 3 or 4 days to come back and do the dub, to finish the dub plate. Which, if you know dub plates, is just finish it in one take, right? Always hang it swing. But I'm not sure if artists doing a lot of that. And when you listen to Marshall put this together, you're understanding a man who take your time, because even in the background of the song is spirit. That would have, I could tell you that when you sing song like that spirit thing, that what is higher in church camp, you know, and they give you testimony and crying and thing, and they say all these people going in song with spirit and thing, and the jumping going to take them and the wicked and all these kind of things, you know. This is the kind of songs where it's discussed when you go in the church camp. So you'll be careful how you sing in spirit, but I like it a lot. And then, as much as I think the isosceles, and I was like, the whole isosceles, I find it's just too much of words in a song. Sometimes, to be honest with you, when I listen to Bungie, right, I find like Bungie's song is a long running, like years of an argument. I feel he's upset with some people. He's been arguing for many, many years because even the happiest of songs, it is going into an argument zone. And I always say this on the podcast that I was there. I see him posting some old thing about Big Fete and thing, right? And he was right. I don't think he could bring back that era at all, but I'm so glad I lived through that era. When I would see Bunji Garlin performing in PSA and in Spectrum and them places. And I was a youth who was with the rebellion at the time because them first didn't like Bunji Garlin at all. And is that whole idea, Raga Soca, and you're saying they used to call him Buju Garlin, them old folks used to call him all kind of thing, you know what I mean? They didn't like him at all. They said that he's not Soca and them thing. And I was one of the people with him singing he's a uptown Fete. And he used to, boy, listen, the youths in Fete long time, he bring a certain amount of youths into an era where licensing fire. I don't know if it wasn't for him in particular. I ain't taking nothing away from Ronnie, Super Blue, even Marshall and them who was dominating at the time. Eddie, whoever's the big artist dominating at the time. Not saying that them men wasn't selling tickets, but in terms of young teenagers and things at that time, late 90s, most of the early 2000s, young teenagers and men now their 20s and them thing. In terms of bringing them into that era of licensing fire, flower, wassa and thing, Bunji Garlin is one of the men who bring people in. Salute to KMC and all of them too, but Bunji bring people out with them songs and the whole of the East coming down to every Fete and bring out them big flags, and them thing Fete was ruction, it was mayhem. Number one, I'm glad I lived through that. I cannot do that anymore. I cannot get to that level where I could go a Fete with the sole purpose of pushing people. And I remember fans sing a song, Bong Somebody. I like this song a lot when I'm home, but I don't want to go nowhere nobody bonksing me. But I know that's for me, for youths now. And youths go on their own artists because they want temper and they want young brother and thing. But I appreciate what Bunji trying to do by bringing back the big Fete feel of power songs. But I kind of like to hear Bunji at my age when he say, young banana, strong banana. I want country and tongue banana. Some big yellow and nice long banana. The girl want the banana. Them girl don't want no banana. If it's something, and them a thing. That's my pace there, man. I like him. So when you see Bunji give you one like this, I feel I appreciate that more than anything else here in this umbrella.
Caribbean people will fall down in a train, end up in a cast, party through the pain, go right down till the last. So if the weather change, we will party all in the rain. Hey, yeah, we put up the rocks like umbrella, 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 rocks over your head like umbrella, umbrella, umbrella. Yeah, we make magic like Shangri-La, Shangri-La, Shangri-La. Hands over your head with umbrella, umbrella, umbrella. Alright. Shelter yourself, shelter yourself, shelter yourself, shelter yourself, shelter yourself, shelter yourself, shelter Shangri-La, Shangri-La.
Umbrella. Hey, my part. Shelter yourself. I just hope rainfall carnival Monday and Tuesday, so we could get a slice of that. But salute to the great Bungie Garland. You see this little rhythm here? That whole rhythm is troubling, because you see that case? I want to mentally. This whole rhythm bad. This is Spirits of Carnival project instrumental by Papo Productions. Salute to Papo Productions, because that very bad. Glad for you, it's only 50 million I collect. Papo get 10, Bungie get 10, Skinny get 10, Kes get 10, Marshall get 10. 50 million done bust up there from the 147 already. So that's where he is. No, yeah, again, out here, because I tried my best this year to keep my episodes managed down to about an hour and a half, you know what I mean? And I have some quick fire topics to talk about fast, because I saw this whole episode was about culture. I should be in it, because you see all this heavy news is heavy down myself. My son tell me the other day, he said, boy, I feel sorry for news reporters, because all they do is read bad news all day. And I say, well, you could also look to see what good news there is. So I say, you know what, I should start to do that. I should start to take that advice and stop heavying down myself with things. So, but when I'm looking for good news, I saw something in late December that I wanted to touch on quick. Headline from the news, they saying, from Angus Eve, qualification won't be easy for 2026. Angus, with the camera. I want to talk to Angus very serious. Angus, let us not play games. I understand as a coach, and a coach who have the team in a place where they're heading in a direction we didn't see them heading a long time, which is upward. I know you have to say this and you have to do what you have to do. I know that he's cussed up them men a lot from all the little clips I see. I appreciate that he's cussed them and keep them in line. But don't play, please, with the qualification for the World Cup 2026. World Cup 2026 is going to be hosted by the US, Canada, and Mexico, which means that those three teams do not have to qualify in CONCACAF, which means that the only team that really better than us, well, better than the best Trinidad teams, right, is Costa Rica, and we got to fight up with Jamaica. In this World Cup, it is important that both Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago qualify for this World Cup. And whatever English-speaking Caribbean country could fight up and get up the Guyana and Shabbat still down there, come up and let we get Costa Rica out and let us go up there. I don't like this, but anyway, Trinidad and Tobago men's football team has a head coach Angus Eve has his sights set on the 2026 FIFA World Cup, which will be staged in USA, Mexico, and Canada. But Eve, the former TNT captain and midfielder, says the qualification process would not be easy and will require a collective effort for that dream to become a reality. I don't like this, Eve, who has been at the helm since January 2021, said, we've started plans, but unfortunately, because of the politics of the field, it really affects what we are able to do on the pitch. We haven't been playing consistently in the FIFA match windows. It's not easy for us to qualify, but we plan to revamp the team to bring in and expose younger players, to give them the experience that they would need, so that the next time the World Cup qualifying comes around in 2 years' time, they will be ready. Please, just get a dietitian for Neville Hackshaw, get Gary Griffith's son lifting some weights. And who's the team? Get Cordell Cato to sort out the thing with the wife and thing. We're going to need Molino, we're going to need both Alvin and Joven Jones. Or like get people ready now. Let we don't go through this. It would be embarrassing if we don't qualify for this next World Cup. I know it have a set of off the field issues. I see Lasana and them right recently about trying to get rid of this normalization committee and getting back control of our own football and whatever it is we had to do and them kind of thing. But we can't do this. We have a couple of years to get this thing right. I like Argentina a little bit, as I say. Salute to them, they win. I can't like them, especially after 2006 when Trinidad qualified. I can't back no other country. I feel a way being an Argentine restaurant, and I'm deliberately wear red to it. I used to back Trinidad wherever we is. We had all when we lost in Bahamas and we can't qualify. I from here. I ain't going to wear no next country jersey to wear them fellas on them jersey. I'm a red jersey back in Argentina and I'm feeling happy but I'm sad. When I see how much Argentina, after a man who cried for the whole match. If you're watching on YouTube, that man sit down with his face so he said, please don't do so. The whole match. Every time France get a free kick or something, that man covering the eye with his fingers crossed. I want to do that for Trinidad. I see a youth man on the ground there, like crying. This little youth man was in tears after the win. He couldn't hold it together, you know what I mean? The youth man, like he calling home and talking to his family or whatever it is. And it's so funny. When the game started and the Argentina anthem playing, I done have my phone out expecting a whole scene with them singing and their hand on their heart. Boy, them even know the anthem. None of them even go Argentina. All them is people who living in Miami who about 2-3 generations away from Argentina who just put on that jersey and come out because die with their ancestor, die with their great grandfather from them. Never them even know the anthem. And I telling JP from then I said one these people frightening. You know? Them fellas so they get Argentina get so accustomed to losing finals that them fellas was frightened going into the game. And I seen Edmund, and my partner Edmund is a black Ghanaian Trinidadian. You know what I mean? And running when France score, he's running. And he's a man, when he's, according to him, when he watching football, he watching sports, he's watching with his whole body. So when he running and France score, he just celebrating a good goal. And Mbappe score a damn good goal and he run out the place, boy. They want the way they watch him. I ain't like how them Argentine watch him, you know, because them fellas and them, they look like they want to eliminate he like they do all the rest of black people down there. Me don't want to back no next side. I want to back Trinidad and Tobago in the next World Cup. So Angus, plenty of you here, you know, because we don't know the administrative thing is a scene. We don't know what will be going on with TTFA, but get 11 people out there for we or 22 people who could beat people from a please. Just get it together. I like how you're cussing them stink too. Just keep cussing them stink and make sure that we qualify. What else we have on this quick fire list here? A farewell to Fazir Mohammed. Farewell to Fazir leave TV6. Who would have thought the day would have come? I ain't see up to now what it is he moving on to. But whatever Fazir move on to, we will follow. I will admit that it was a lot hard to watch Fazir from us sometimes because he, according to Zachary, when he has so much bad news and so much nonsense to deal with every day, the best of us could get cynical and sarcastic and stuff. And I find he used to song like if he not giving the guests a chance to talk sometimes or attacking them. But I suspect he just fed up of hearing the same rhetoric over and over and hearing people come to BS on the morning show about things that he know is really for self-gain. I mean, he was a little too close to what he was to all these shenanigans to even give it a voice at the end of the day. And you need people like that too. But I saw somebody suggesting that a late night hard-hitting like Martin Bashir, I think was one of the interviewers who used to do that type of interview. Kind of hard-hitting, hard talks type of show. Fazir might be really good for that because he's well-researched. He's not afraid of anybody. And he might be that media personality to help keep the other institutions in the country in check. As we're moving into implementing presidents who have political histories and so on, as we, you know, this happen from time to time. Yeah, somebody like Fazir will be nice around the media to keep them in check. You know what I mean? He aggressive enough to do it. He fearless. So it would be nice to see. And of course, you had to talk about Fazir in his capacity as a cricket commentator, as a sports commentator in general, and being a part of the sporting landscape. And there's more reasons for us to qualify, right? For Zero to be there calling some games or covering what happened with our Soca Warriors as we tour USA, Canada, and Mexico, right? But salute to Fazir. If you have a chance, go and listen to Birdie and Barney podcast from the Sam Lightbird and Wayne Shepherd with the Fazir Mohammed interview. I really enjoyed that interview and listen to why he say he was a Liverpool fan before and he cannot support that anymore. But salute to Fazir. Thank you for everything you've done. We're looking forward to seeing where you're going next. And last thing quick, I just see HDC say they're going cashless, right? This is against the backdrop of seeing recently that now when you transfer money from Scotia to any other bank, you got to pay a 150 and thing. You know, we still seem to want to be a little hesitant. I saw people say that we may not be able to do transfers from Trinity accounts to PayPal anymore and them things, but HDC is the first government corporation to go cashless. I want to salute that. Housing Development Corporation of Trinidad has become the first officially recognized government corporation to provide customers with cashless payment options for both the banked and unbanked under an initiative by the Trinidad and Tobago International Finance Center. Now, when I read deeper into the article, right, it was being supported by Paywise and Shopee and them. And they said cashless, right? But it seemed as though more like they're giving people a cashless option than they're going completely cashless. I thought that it meant they will no longer deal with anything to do with cash. But it seems to be a good direction for us to go in as a country where we start to eliminate the need for cash, especially given the crime situation. I think the banks have a role to play in helping us curb this crime situation, which we have in a rough time with. I mean, we've watched Fitzgerald Hines, and he does not inspire a lot of hope, and you know what I mean? He's a hard man to get a lot out of in terms of seeing betterment down the road. But again, I want to go back to Omari's comments about Stalin. Like, we have to see what we could do individually and as institutions that are not government related. And the bank is one of them. We had to expedite the idea of being cashless. We had to go where bandits know they can't run in nobody place and just grab cash from people, and because they have no cash to get anymore. You're seeing more and more every day where businesses being ran into just to take people cash. It's sad. I have an office in South and they rob a grocery right next door to us. The people have a little small grocery, you know what I mean? No oligopoly people is like a little grocery. And they're running and rob the people. I mean, why I as a businessman who's done struggling to make a profit and try to, keep the thing afloat and pay my employees and grow my business. Now I had to spend a whole lot of extra money now because of cash management and having security and all those things. I mean, I don't know if we appreciate the effect that will have on society. But anyway, that is where we are, and I'm going to close off this episode. Now I had to tell all of this, right? My mother is a woman who asks for much. As a matter of fact, she don't ask me for nothing. So the moral of the story is when she asks for something, I had to find a way. And with all the other feedback I get, which again, I appreciate all the feedback I got from everybody on the songs that I chose to play last week. And I appreciate it more than anything else, all the feedback that I get. And the thing about it is know who listening. It's really how to behave yourself in this life, because I get calls and messages from people who I never even know is listening to anything I had to say. So you see, you get bad talk people and say all kind of things about people. But one of the things I appreciated from the people who gave me feedback on the episode, strangers and everybody alike, right? Was the fact that people appreciated the Singing Francine tribute. I was worried about that. I didn't want to do it. I say, boy, it will look bad. For two reasons. I felt as if, Stalin obviously deserved a tribute on his own. And I felt I didn't want to seem as though I'm not doing that. And then I also felt like because of what I do usually, Singing Francine, anybody who listens to this for a long time, there's a full episode for me on Singing Francine, so I didn't like the idea of squeezing her into another episode. So I was so glad that people appreciated that and appreciated the couple songs that I played from her. I couldn't do it for long, but I was glad that people appreciated that. And I encourage you, especially if you're not into the Kucher and Bacchanal and Kankalang, I understand that. So it was nice to hear to pass through and listen. I get that. But please go back and listen to episodes on Winsford Devines, episodes on Explainer. So many times when these artists pass away, you could always pass back here to get a dedication episode from me to them. But I do it every week, and I make sure that I highlight these people's music because these people's music. But because they deserve it and it's a part of the tapestry. As much as I love the culture and I love what we do, I love who we are. I know waiting for nobody to pass away to do these things, but when they pass away, I go take the moment to make sure that it's documented and I show in my own small way my appreciation for what they do and how they contributed. But as I say, mommy don't ask me for much. So when she tell me I ain't play this particular song, which she like, I want to leave you with this for this episode. There's Stalin and Ella Handel.
Man, you're black man bowling. I can't take no more. Oh man, you're black man chanting. All my body sore.
Black man, we've got to keep on pushing. We struggle too long. Come on and grab your woman's hand. Let us sing the freedom song.
We vow to fight together for rights. Our family free and healthy, and we must stick together in any kind of weather, giving praise to the Creator, Jah forever. Woman, you black man bowling. All my vision blocked. Woman, you black man chanting. taking. All my body sore. Oh man, you black man say, just can't take no more.
Black man, we got to keep on going. Forget the dance and grooves, and then we keep on pushing. What more we got to lose?
We vow to fight together for our rights, to grow our family free and healthy, and we must stick together in any kind of weather, giving praise to the Creator, Cha-cha forever.
Hey, y'all, I'm going to talk to all you next week. You know, go in. All have a good week, have a productive week. Enjoy yourself in the fetes and thing. I wonder if I should go a fete every weekend and do a fete review, boy. I can't promise that, you know, my old self will find myself in some paniards this year and give you some updates as to what happened, some of the more popular paniards. I'm saying that now so I could commit it, because you know when you see 8 o'clock in the night reach and I had to leave home to go in any paniard, you know that could go south fast. But I'm saying it, so I had to do it, right? That year we'll get for sure. And one or few fetes in between, right? But for now, I'll talk to you next week. Bye.
Then together with my black man, trod in the land so free.
We vow to fight together for right, to grow our family free and healthy, and we must stick together in any kind of weather, giving praise to the Creator, Cha-cha forever. We vow to fight together for right, to grow our family free and healthy, and we must stick together in any kind of weather, giving praise to the Creator, Cha-cha forever and ever and ever and ever. We vow to fight together for right, to grow our family free and healthy, and we must stick together in any kind of weather, running praise to the Creator, Cha-cha forever. We